Hello, welcome to my channel, Save Infinity. In this video, I just want to talk briefly kind of about the idea of free will and like cosmic truths or what have you, and how often certain sort of like ideas and concepts are talked or spoken about or shared through like metaphors or in code. The sort of going with that whole eyes to see, ears to hear type concept. You can kind of think about it in a way of how in this sort of density layer of reality that, we exist in on Earth, or at least in this layer of Earth, there is still that sort of idea of free will or what have you, and there's sort of that, collective truth or collective what's normal and normalcy. Sometimes truth isn't even the best way to describe it. It's more, the collective belief system that we subscribe to, and that then kind of, helps manifest the collective consensus reality, if you will. A lot of times those things that seem like hard truths are more like just one perspective of truth, like one layer of a belief system that we're subscribing to. And so often a lot of these sort of, cosmic truths, if you will, or different higher concepts or ideas being so like freely shared or enforced on people as a grander truth or as a new truth or what have you, in a way is also can be seen as like impeding on their free will experience of this sort of reality. So even though so often so many of the normal sort of belief systems we subscribe to can actually, be quite terrible and maybe not produce such a great reality or a great experience, because that is just like the normal base layer we've all, been subscribing to. It's kind of not so much impeding on free will in that aspect, whereas introducing, different sort of belief systems or cosmic truths or what have you would be very reality altering, really altering that reality we've seen and known as normal in a way that could be seen as, impeding on free will. Like people have that free will to choose to live in a terrible reality, or have that free will to, suffer through certain things or believe certain things that bring on suffering to themselves. And when that's like a collective normal, we have these collective beliefs that, could bring about a lot of suffering and such and what have you. It's still our own sort of, free will to have that choice and decision to do so. It's kind of like that little trick of the trade of where that's not then seen as impeding on our free will in a way of, because it's not really altering the reality that we're already living in and subscribing to. Whereas if, you bring in a lot of new belief systems or, different cosmic truths that would alter reality in a way that might make it more pleasant or enjoyable to live in, that's still altering reality in such a way that it could be seen as, impeding on that free will choice sort of aspect in a way. So in that sense, not being afraid to kind of formulate and have that discernment with kind of, following your own inner truths and formulating your own sort of belief system that resonates with yourself and for you and the sort of reality that you want to experience, rather than always just feeling like you need to go along with, the collective ideas or the loudest sort of ideas in the room or what have you. And if you do kind of, hear kind of little whisperings of different, ideas or concepts, or see little hidden paths you could wander down, not being afraid to do so, and not feeling like just because, it is a quieter whisper, if you will, that it means that it's wrong or not a truth or what have you. But kind of seeing more from this idea of we're kind of in a collective consensus reality with, those sort of foundational sort of belief systems and truths. But that doesn't mean that's the only way. It's just the way we're currently subscribed to. And there's, you know, so many different pathways and types of experiences we can venture out into if we so choose. You know, as they kind of say so many times, you know, the power of your own belief and what you're believing and subscribing to really can affect your own experience and reality so much. Like, you really do have that much, you know, power and authoritative control over your reality in that way. So, you know, not being afraid to formulate your own sort of, you know, belief systems and follow what resonates for yourself, and use discernment in that way, rather than just, you know, blindly following the crowd into a reality that might not even be so beneficial for yourself. You know, even like simple ideas of how they so often say, you know, if someone believes that they're really sick or going to get really sick, then they can kind of, you know, manifest that reality and experience for themselves. Whereas if they feel like they're going to heal really quickly, or believe that they, you know, won't get very sick at all, then they, you know, manifest a more pleasant experience for themselves. Kind of just, you know, those sort of concepts and ideas, and and seeing more into, you know, what a truth really is versus what a belief really is, in the, you know, the more multi-dimensional kind of depth to these sort of things, and layers to these sort of things that you really can kind of shift between and subscribe to different levels of. All right, well, might leave this one here for now. Sending you so much peace, love, light, and blessings as always.